What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you are all having a wonderful day. I want to take a look at Totemic Enhancement Shaman again. I've done a video on this, I don't know, like weeks and weeks ago now, but there's been, tweaks and stuff here and there, and I've spent a lot more time with it now trying to perfect a build that works with Totemic. I think this is something that I just wanted to make work, something that I've been trying to work at really hard, and I've tried as many combination of talents as I can think of. I've done a whole Lava Lash line where I went down to Hot Hand and even Ashen Catalyst and abandoned some of the Wind Fury stuff, but then that ended up just completely being wrong, I think, because this tree has a lot to do with Wind Fury, actually, with things like Imbuement Mastery. So that didn't really make any sense. I did try just having Lava Lash and no Ice Strike to spread some Flame Shocks, but ended up being less damage overall. Even though the Lava Lash is going to proc, of course, your Lively Totems. That might sound completely ridiculous, but I'll just explain it in a second. I've tried doing like Lava Lash with, Primordial Wave coming down here and then ditching, the 1-point Legacy and then having 2 points here. I think I got rid of like this. I tried doing it this way. I've tried running with Elemental Blast and having Elemental Spirits rather than having Alpha Wolf. But I keep coming back to this build right here, which I think is the best way to build Totemic, which doesn't really make any sense. A lot of people have talked about how Totemic just seems to be all over the place in terms of its talent support, right? You've got a Storm Strike talent over here. Then you've got a Lava Lash talent over here, plus a Frost Shock, Hailstorm, Fire Nova talent over here. So you think to yourself, well, you're probably going to want to do an Elementalist build, but I've tried it, and it's less damage overall than if you do what I have decided to call kind of the physical build. It seems to be the best way to approach this tree, which was, for a long time I was doing this, and I would scrap Ice Strike, and then I would just put like a point down here. That was like the best version for me because it was entirely physically based. So you had Fire Nova, which actually does Flame Strike damage, so it scales off physical modifiers. Sundering does Flame Strike damage. Storm Strike does physical damage. Your Wind Fury stuff all does physical damage. You have a Legacy of the Frost Switch physical buff, giving you 25% more damage. And then you've got Feral Spirits with Alpha Wolf getting extra damage when you press Chain Lightning or Crash Lightning or Chain Lightning, but the dogs don't have any elemental spirits components, so they are physical dogs. So Surging Totem does physical damage. The idea with this whole tree is to just go all in on physical damage, and especially things like Wind Fury and then the Surging Totem itself. But that also proved to just be less damage, especially in single target. Especially in single target, it was much less damage. So I really don't know what to do with this tree. I've settled on a build that like doesn't even touch Lively Totems or reactivity. These are literally dead talents with the build that I'm running right here. But I think this is the most damage that I'm able to pump out of this tree. It does focus a lot on Wind Fury, which is really cool. I like that part of it. Earth Surge is still really good because you get a huge chunk of damage from your Surging Totem. Some of the problems I think here is that the capstone node is just like, again, so generic and doesn't include anything really for the Elementalist build. And I think that's a problem. So for one thing, there's no, like, the bonus that you get here. Let's take a look at the fire bonus, for example. Increases the crit chance of Lava Lash or Fire Nova and it's critical damage. So you're like, okay, well, Zuko, that's an Elementalist thing. You can run these talents and then you can have it supported here. It's like, yeah, sure, but it's like one Lava Lash or one Fire Nova having a higher chance to crit. And then what if it doesn't crit? Then you just lose out on the crit damage here, right? So that doesn't really work for me, and it also doesn't interact with Frost Shock. So you can't do an actual like Elementalist build which interacts with Frost Shock. Don't get me wrong. I am not somebody who likes the Elementalist build. I just don't like it. But we probably should have a hero tree that interacts with it in some way, because the Elementalist build still exists. It's still here. It's on the tree. You've got Hailstorm. You got all your Hot Hand stuff. You got Primordial Wave still. It's right there. So why don't we have a build that really interacts with it super well? There just isn't really that good of a build. There's actually probably a better case to be made for the Elementalist build on a Stormbringer tree. You can actually do a better Elementalist build on the Stormbringer tree. And if you try and do an Elementalist build on the Totemic tree, you have to abandon all of the Wind Fury stuff, which isn't right, because you have like, you literally have Wind Fury buffs right here. So it's like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? It doesn't really make any sense. You'd also have to get rid of the Legacy buff. You'd have to get rid of Storm Flurry. And then, I don't know, you're basically there. I guess you have to get rid of Flurry. But my point is, Totemic has this identity crisis right now where it has so many different directions that it wants to go. And I don't really know why Blizzard hasn't worked on it at all. We recently got changes to the Tempest build. They literally buffed Tempest by 50% for Enhancement Shaman. So now it's like completely clear which build is better. The Storm build is just far and away better. I think it was already better, but now it's like, it's not even close. And partially it's because we just don't know what to do with Surging Totem and this whole tree. It just doesn't have an identity that is clear. It just doesn't. I wish it did, but it just doesn't. Now, it can still do some damage, but I think it's important to understand how much worse it is than the Storm build right now. I want to be really clear about this. So I'm trying like a full physical build, my physical build idea, which also includes, I believe, Deeply Rooted here in this tree. So this, again, the damage here, it's not terrible at all. It's actually okay inside Bloodlust. So it's actually, it gets a little bit worse because you know it's inside Bloodlust. But the point is, it's not bad. The totem is okay, but our Ellie Shaman friend still beat us on damage, which is good. Good job for Ellie. I want Ellie to be good. Don't get me wrong. It's very, very good. But I just don't, there just isn't enough damage here eventually, which you're going to see. Look at Laz right now. So Laz is doing he's doing the Storm build for Enhancement Shaman, and he's popping off. I got an Ascendance proc right there, which is good. Again, this does buff your physical damage, and Wind Strike is a physical ability, right? That does penetrate armor, which is really nice. But it just, I don't know. Over the course of this key, it's just not enough. It just really isn't. You're going to see the overall DPS, as the overall DPS on the charts here. Right now, we're doing okay. We're doing 1.1 million, but as the key goes on, it just goes down. Laz will just always end up beating us as he keeps getting more Tempest procs over and over again, because Tempest has been buffed by 50%. They haven't buffed anything on the Totemic tree or changed anything on the Totemic tree at all. The only thing they've done is actually given proper functionality to the Lively Totems node, which we're not even using here, because I just don't actually think it's worth constructing a build that actually utilizes the Lively Totem talents. I don't think it's actually worth the points there, which is really sad, but I think that's true. So again, here we go. Now we're only doing 700k, and Laz is up above 1 million, right? There's an example of what I'm saying. This is where it gets really bad for us. Look at Laz right now. He's popping off. He's doing over 1 million damage on 2 targets. We're getting beat by the healer right now. And then, you know, we're gonna claw our way back. Here we go. Now we're starting to do some damage, but Laz is doing 2 million DPS. We're doing 430. He's doing the Storm build. He's not the Elemental Shaman. This is the other Enhancement Shaman doing the Storm build, and he's doing, you know, 1.7 million, and we're doing 4. He's doing 4 times as much damage as us almost. So I don't know. I just don't really know what to say for this build. I want it to be good. I really want Totemic to be fun and interesting and good, and it just kind of isn't. This guy did almost 3 times the amount of damage that we did on that one pull. Then we have this boss fight. You can see we're kind of sort of staying close, but then he's doing double our damage, and we haven't even got to the double damage phase yet. Here we go. We're gonna get there right now, and then here we go. He's just gonna take off, right? As soon as he gets a Tempest proc inside this double damage window, I mean, it's over. Like, our damage just goes way, way down. We're getting beat by the Ellie Shaman now, and we're getting crushed by the Enhanced Shaman. He's almost doing double our damage still. So, I don't know, guys. I'm going to keep working on this build. Like, I'm going to keep experimenting, I guess, is the best I can. But I just don't know what to say about the Totemic Tree, other than it feels like Blizzard is potentially cooking something here that, like, we can't see yet. Maybe there's changes coming to the spec tree that we can't see, and it's going to change how good the Totemic Tree is. Maybe that's going to happen. I don't know. I don't feel it right now, but maybe. Right now, no matter how I build this sucker, it just doesn't seem like it's really worth it. This was one of the best builds I come up with, and I think it isn't even as good as doing Deeply Rooted, which is insane, which means, you know, if you do a Deeply Rooted version, you're literally dropping both these talents. If you do this version with Lavalash, it's okay. It's not terrible. I even tried one with Hot Hands, like a small Hot Hands window. It's not terrible, but it's not worth it. I'm investing more talents in my spec tree to try and make lively totems and reactivity work, and I'm telling you, at the end of the day, though, these two talents combined ended up doing like 3% of my damage or something. So it just wasn't even worth taking. So I don't know. This is something I got to experiment a little bit more with. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Please let me know if you've experimented with something that makes this Totemic build do as much damage as Stormbringer, because I just don't think that's possible right now. It's just not possible, especially with the 50% Tempest buff that they got. So I'm not mad that Stormbringer got buffed. I'm glad. It's good that there's a build for Enhancement Shaman that is like really good. I just want this to be cool. I love the idea of Totemic. It's actually really cool. It just misses the mark right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Love to hear from you down there. Please let me know. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I love you all. I'm going to keep covering the War Within. I will see you in the next one.